Pocket holes or biscuits. Pocket holes or biscuits.
Pocket holes.
Or biscuits.
Chris, a friend of mine who recently got into woodworking, asked when making panels for tabletops, is it better to use pocket hole screws or to use biscuits? He was asking because he's having issues with panels warping. Now, even though I have a pocket hole jig, I've never given serious thought to using a pocket hole jig for making panels.
I learned to make panels using a doweling jig similar to this one.
After making several panels with dowels, I was introduced to my first biscuit joiner. My first biscuit joiner was a skill. I got a lot of good use out of that skill biscuit joiner, but it only had a few adjustments for number 0, number 10, number 20 biscuits, and it had a height adjustment for different thicknesses of material. It also had a removable block for cutting at 90 and 45 degrees. It was a good tool, and I made a ton of panels with it. A few years ago, I received this Porter cable biscuit joiner as a gift and sold the skill. The Porter cable is a much nicer tool, and it has a lot more adjustments. 2 to 3 years ago, I bought this pocket hole jig. I was making some toy furniture for my nieces, and the plans called for pocket holes. I've used this jig for face frames and for making toy furniture. So, to answer the question, do I prefer biscuits or pocket holes for making panels? Well, I prefer biscuits, and here's why. Pocket holes are great for making face frames. With my experience with pocket holes, you want to clamp everything down really well before driving in the screws. Otherwise, the material will shift and the joint will become uneven. And that's going to require extra sanding.
No one likes extra sanding.
Trying to clamp down boards to make panels using pocket holes is cumbersome and it takes more time. Biscuits are much quicker when it comes to making panels. It's one of the reasons why I switched from dowel pinning in the first place. Biscuits are great for alignment, especially when your boards aren't perfectly straight. Another reason why I like biscuits is because you can cut into them with your saw blade and you don't have to worry about damaging your blade. When I know the ends of my panels will be covered, I'll make my panels double-sized and then cut them down to fit. When I make panels that way, I don't have to worry about the biscuit layout. I only have to worry about the biscuit layout when the ends are showing. I also wouldn't dare put a pocket hole panel through a planer. One nick with one of those knives on one of those screws, and those knives are done. Now, the issue that Chris is having with panels warping is not because of him using pocket holes, and biscuits won't fix that issue. It comes down to the boards and the milling process. If the lumber that you're using has too much moisture in it, it's bound to warp. If you're using dimensional lumber from the box stores, aka 2x4s, these boards are not dried to the same moisture content as lumber from a hardwood store. Now, I'm not saying that just because you buy your lumber from a hardwood store that it will not warp. Care still has to be taken when storing your lumber and going through the milling process. First, whenever you get your lumber into the shop, let it acclimate to the environment for a few days. Whenever you start milling your lumber, if you can, don't go to the final thickness. Get it close and then let it sit for another day or so. If you do let it sit, be sure to sticker and stack it, or stack it on end to get even airflow all the way around the boards. Giving these boards time to acclimate and stabilize will prevent them from warping. Now, once the panel is assembled, sanded, cut to final length, and ready to fasten to the piece, make sure that it is fastened in such a way that it will securely hold it down, but allows for wood movement. You can get figure 8 clips or Z clips, or you can even make some Z clips out of wood, or you can make your braces in your furniture to hold in such a way that will allow for seasonal wood movement. Or you can design ways into your furniture, like these cross braces at the bottom of these end tables. The holes for these screws are elongated to allow for seasonal wood movement. I made this table over 15 years ago, and the top has no cracks in it, because I allowed for seasonal wood movement. Unlike the panel in the footboard of this bed, where I glued it all the way around and did not allow for seasonal wood movement. As a result, it split. Nowadays, when I'm making panels, I will use my planer and joiner, which is a huge help for getting boards flat and making nice looking stable panels. Now you don't have to have these tools if you're just starting out, but they are a nice addition whenever you get further down the road in your woodworking journey. There are times that I will make panels where I'll simply just glue the pieces together without biscuits, pocket hole screws, splines, dominoes, or anything else that you can use for alignment. For my taste, I will go with biscuits or just glue. The only strength that biscuits add is marginal, and it doesn't add enough strength where I'd want to rely on it. It is really just meant for alignment. To keep your panels from warping, it is in how you mill your lumber and how you fasten your panels. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have another topic that you'd like for me to cover, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. If you've made it to this point in the video, please hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, be safe.
Or biscuits. Let's bring a biscuit.
I still never give them theory of thought. A few years later, I received this biscuit.